Buongiorno.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Half the Race Gone. My name is Durden DK, and I'm here with the smooth as ever Trial 666. And today we are here for the Nukeshot Endurance Series, round 4, split 1, or race 1, if you will, from the Dragon Trail Seaside. And
can we just quickly have a shout out? We have the entity that is Nukeshot Motorsport here as a commentator in the chat. That's quite the privilege. I'm not sure how this works, this embodiment of a race organization, but it's amazing.
Yeah, team, motorsports team and race organizer, all at the same time.
Can you explain this entity to me? Probably not.
Anyways, we are, as I said before, we're here for Dragon Trail round 4. Last season it was some very dramatic races around here with the chicane of death and whatnot. Swiftly I'm gonna go into some audio settings. Yep, there we are. All set and good. So, for this race, both the Vert Audis in the LMP class were quite heavily ballasted, if you can say so, with CJ running 6% and Joe of the Fire running 7% ballast.
That's some heavy stuff.
That's some heavy metal stuff for y'all. And that really also showed, at least in the qualifying time of Joe and the Fire. CJ, as usually, it's not really visible in his driving whatsoever.
It's always been kind of hard to tell how he actually handles himself sometimes around the corners. He seems to always just thrash his way around, but he's darn fast. So
I think he has a certain part Japanese in him, perhaps.
Yeah, he does seem to have a lot of that Tuge style. Even to his downforce car driving, but yeah. Fast guy, that's for damn sure.
So as we are getting the pack away for the formation lap, let us just quickly also go through some championship standings. I don't exactly remember the points, but in the pro class in the LMPs, it is Joe of the Fire leading in front of CJ and myself. And of the drivers today, Trials is slightly in front of Armored Core as well. So Armored Core, first time he is on pole position, did a stunning display in qualifying, setting the fastest lap. So very well done for him. Joe of the Fire having a little bit of problems. And then once more in the AM class, this is really becoming quite a theme for this season. Nilseman on pole once more.
Yeah, he's been dominating all season in qualifying. It's great to see such a strong pace from him.
But something we've not seen that many times, if I recall correctly, we have off Apple on the front row in the GT class.
Yeah, setting a very strong pace here. That's looking good for the race. Something we haven't seen at all this season.
That, I'm afraid, is true.
The German Snipperator in a pink Toyota.
In a kind of Force India livery Toyota Supra concept. And nice to have Snip back racing in the NES after some times of absent. Mr. Racing Hearts, as you could call him. He is always on those Racing Hard tires.
Making an absolutely brilliant debut there. 3rd place in his first outing. That's really a strong showing. I'm very impressed by that.
Just out-qualifying former teammate from last season, Ybear, with Ninja Karma. A bit off his usual pace, perhaps. You could say he is down in P5 in class. And then we begin with some, well, you could say newcomers, but it is really some old newcomers or some returnees of former series. We have Nikos the Greek, who is returning from a rather long absence, and the same thing is GTO 250, or as we would just henceforth call them, GTO.
Yeah.
Who qualified in 11th and 12th, those two.
In a nice looking Corvette as well. Good choice there, sir.
And Gugas, another well-known face, in the NES here. He is in P13.
Round a bit far back from him, not what we were probably expecting from him here.
Hasn't really been looking like the strongest track for Gugas here at Dragon Trail. And as we say that, we are about to get the LMP class away. And as they pass the pit entrance, it is Armored Core's decision when to go full throttle. Let's see when he goes to full hammer. There he goes. Springs up a little of a gap to CJ, with Trails taking P3 from teammate Durden.
Yeah, you just got a bit of a poor start there. I got a good one, so I can make one up one place immediately. I'm about to knock a glass off my table.
Oh, that was it.
I had a glass on my table and it started spinning when I made a small adjustment, and it fell off, and I couldn't handle that.
Can we see some Fs in chat for a thing that is sadly becoming a habit here for Trails 666? Those.
I don't know why you keep calling me smooth. That's not the right word for what I am. That's definitely sure. Here we see the GT3 field go through the start. Nelson getting a strong exit. It's such a powerful car, that Corvette. He gets a small gap instantly and gets time to pick the right line through the corner. Nicely strong out through the beginning for the GT3 field here.
Definitely so, and just to finish up on the point I had before, I was referring to your voice and not your driver.
Can I just say for a second, we got actual Fs for my glass.
We got actual.
That's probably the first time we've had actual Fs.
Actually,
thanks for the actual Fs, people.
Actual Fs, that's really great to see in chat. Lovely to see so many of you joining us in chat.
Lovely to see Armored Core setting a great pace here from the beginning. He's been smooth all the way through. A bit panicky in the beginning, but that's obvious that you'd be there with such a strong field immediately behind you.
Yeah, you see CJ and myself there tucked in to the slipstream. You have Joe of the Fire just having lost some ground there on the first lap. And yourself there struggling, I wouldn't necessarily say so. Luckily for you, didn't pick up any damage there on that early incident.
Not even the glass I knocked off. It remained intact all the way through.
So now with Snipperator here on the Racing Hearts, he is in P3 in class.
Ninja Karma's had a bit of a strong start. He's up right behind him. Oh wait, did he start around 9th?
No, he started in... Snipperator hasn't had the best of starts, but Bear has been overtaken by Ninja Karma here on the opening lap. And now Ninja Karma is putting on the pressure onto, well, these two are also actually former teammates. Now it is Ninja Karma absolutely up the slipstream here. Up Snipperator, is he going to be able to dive in for a move? Maybe take advantage of the top speed of that Corvette, but...
I have the inside here because it's so fast.
But he gets a little squeeze out there. I think...
Can he nail the braking?
He certainly can. He certainly
gets
can.
Cleanly through. Nicely done.
Now Bear also there for company.
Yeah, Bear's been gaining from that.
Bear has been gaining there for a while now, but just going to show you what's happening. There was also a close fight here in the LMP class as we come down.
Lost every bit of that tiny gap he had in the beginning.
Now CJ is looking to stick one up the inside. And they're side by side through the first turns there.
Becomes the inside for Armored Core here. Oh, but the acceleration and the low rev range. Oh.
And CJ just goes around, still side by side. There's a thing. CJ takes the position around the hairpin. He does, and CJ now leading the LMP class.
Interesting to see how you could see the way the cars accelerated differently. In the immediate beginning, the diesel was just flying away, and then the Toyota picked up speed.
Definitely, that was true. See the different dynamics there, as we also see Bear getting the better exit on Snipperator.
He got that done quickly. He picked up the gap pretty fast, and he's already through.
Definitely so. And you would also expect this on the opening laps with Snipperator on the hard compound. Certainly something that would lose you some time on the initial pace here, the first, 5, 6, 7 laps on the different other compounds of tire that the other drivers are on. I noted that Snip is the only driver who has started his race on the hard compounds, but it might turn out to be an advantage later on, especially.
It's going to be interesting to see, and it's something he did a lot in season 3 as well. He liked the longer stints, harder tires, and at times it definitely paid off for him.
Exactly, so interesting to see that, and we'll of course be looking to follow there.
As we have Armored Core and Joe of the Fire in the pits here.
Yeah, we've had a little incident there between me and Armored Core. As you see, I'm also carrying a little bit of damage there. Now going around, just trying to feel whether the car really has taken a hit or whether it's something that will be possible to finish the stint with. Now as we see CJ there coming up on Nikos. Oh, and he gets hit there! Oh, what poor luck for CJ. Picks up some suspension damage on the right rear there. I don't know what happened for Nikos. He seemed to be at the right side. I just think he got a slide on after hitting too much of the curb there, perhaps bottoming out with the car. But
He got through without damage though.
a well-built Japanese car, that is.
Impressive stuff, Toyota.
Something they are well known for there. CJ definitely struggling with the car over the curbs there.
It was scary when you got through the bus stop and suddenly there was a GT3 car there. Did nicely to get around that. Oh, that wasn't what I meant.
So now we're gonna see some just hanging in behind Snipperator there through the corner, going into the pits also to fix whatever damage I picked up in that small collision with Armored Core before. Armored Core already having pitted, he did that immediately on the left before, so he is already rid of that. So let's see what the standings are going to be like as they come out here. We have Nilseman in the lead of the GT class. He's gotten away completely cleanly actually. We have Off-Apple still in P2, as we have what I think might be CJ there coming through to overtake him. That is the one red dot on CJ's wasp of a car coming to overtake you.
Buzz, buzz. So we have Joe the Fire in the pits again. He has massive damage here.
He has completely rest in peace, Joe of the
We'll
Fire.
get some Fs for Joe real quick.
That is worthy of Fs.
Fs for the Wasp, please. Buzz. Somehow, miraculously now, I'm in second position because of the incidents that the rest of the field were having. It was a chaotic start here for the LMP field. It's hard to catch up on all of it, but getting through the traffic the first time when it was still all bunched up, scary moments going through there.
As we see now, CJ is pitting in. That is due to that right rear suspension damage he picked up before. And probably just gonna change those tires, fix that damage, and away he goes. No fuel added.
The bizarre miracle continues, and suddenly I'm in the lead.
Hey! From F to, well...
One
indeed.
Get those Fs charged up, my bros.
There will be plenty of Fs later in the race here. We have Armored Core, and he's come out right in front of CJ. And now we have a battle for P2. That is a close one indeed here in the LMP classes. Armored Core gets a slightly squirmy exit there. Now CJ's up alongside him. And that went quite quickly there.
Nilsman doing a good job of just giving up that line, because that would have probably been the end of his race.
It is definitely a decision you have to take when the traffic is hot around you like that, that you really just have to sometimes give up some space or some
obviously
pace.
The rules state that the GT3 car should stay on the racing line, but on occasion when you see a couple of dudes battling like this, you know, maybe just give them an inch of space or something and you might fare better.
Yeah, that is...
Oh, this Toyota looking absolutely squirmish through there, bouncing to one side then the other. See, he's already losing a bit of time. Can he make it up? He's gonna be faster through the corner. Yeah, not too much.
Let's see what goes on. The other part still Nilseman looking consistent as ever.
In front of Apple.
Apple, though, with slightly better tire wear, so that might play into his hands.
Yeah, he also seems to not... He hasn't lost absolute miles of space here. He's still in with a shout, depending on how that Corvette handles later on.
And Snip is back up into P3 in class. So he has overtaken both Ninja and Y-Bear. on the hard tires here.
That's great stuff for him. He's a very, very good defensive driver. And he's going to need to be able to maybe make it a bit harder for the guys on... These guys behind him are on faster tires and they're on shorter stints, so they need to get ahead. But he's very good at doing hard, fair racing, taking those defensive lines and just delaying his opponents a slight bit. Oh, yes,
big moment there for Snip and
just
for Ninja
shows how
also.
hard he's pushing to keep those guys behind him right now.
And
Every
Ninja,
second they're behind him is great for him, so he's doing a good job here of making it hard. So he's actually picking up a bit of a gap through there. Nice driving.
that is excellent driving pickup as Ninja has a big moment that goes off. He goes off. Big moment there for Ninja Karma. Also damage now for Y-Bear. And Ninja, seemingly that's kind of a lucky escape for him, only to have damage to the front splitter, it seems. Big moment there.
It'll have shredded his tires as well, so we see he continues to drift there.
Complete devastation there for Ninja Karma. Now with traffic coming through, I think that was the car of Joe of the Fire. Snipperator now consolidating his P3 in class as we have Off Apple coming into the pits. Y-Bear now with a little bit of damage, so that
Running with damage and on doesn't, he stays out.
he sticks to the stints and sticks to the plan anyways. It has been one of his strong points for the entire season, the ability to ride out whatever damage he has, and still at a nice pace. It has saved him a lot of points throughout the season already here. CJ now still picking up on you
Picking
here.
up miles of space all the time. He was going so fast at the... I was trying not to look at the gap, to be honest, because I knew I was going to be losing out. I'm getting towards the end of my stint here, and my tires are quite far from where they were. I've had a bit of a drop off from the expected pace as well.
So also here nearing the 15-minute mark, which means that any cars on a 3-stop strategy, which means that any car on a 3-stop strategy would of course have their pit window opening in quite a short time, so it'll be interesting to see when the different cars do come in for their respective stops here. As Tralso still leads the pack there. That is Ninja Karma getting past there.
It's time, my brothers.
It's time for Fs. Trials goes off there. No, it is time for Fs.
Exactly my strongest save either, and my engine is wrecked. So yeah, that's about it for me. CJ was gaining so much time. He would have probably gotten almost to my bumper before I went into the pits.
Yeah, he was getting close at that point. Anyways, there.
Blistering pace at this point.
Also Armored Core there, keeping up just about nicely there. But also myself setting the fastest lap of the race so far on lap 8 with a 1:22.937, just a couple of hundreds better than the lap CJ did on the same lap, so really close there, even on the lap time board. Also Joe of the Fire just all in his own, and he is way
Yeah, you
down
could
the
see
order at
that,
this moment.
here the ballast was definitely getting to him. He was struggling to set a pace similar to what the rest of us were able to do. So yeah, you knew that he would be struggling. He's just trying to stay calm and get it done, really.
Now we have Nilseman coming out on fresh rubber, and looking like he did do that because of Apple came in even a lap before, excuse me. He tried to pull off some kind of undercut.
Yeah.
Nilseman was having none of it.
Yeah, Nilsman did a great job, as Apple has already noted in the chat, responding to that undercut.
Apple there, how did he not get damage from that wall rub right there? A lucky situation for him indeed. Would have been terrible to come out the pits and then pick up damage on what is basically his first real flying lap.
Absolutely, and he's still so very close, but I think he's pushing pretty hard here because he can see him at the end of every straight, and that's when it can get a bit hard staying calm and taking a short line, you know?
Yeah, definitely. still with the LMP cars, just have to note that passing traffic on this track, it was absolutely hair racing. So many moments where you just had to, as an LMP driver, just really just slow down the pace right down.
I gotta say, it's definitely the most fun I've had with traffic. It's for sure it's scary, but there was so many great little moments getting through the traffic.
It's certainly, as we see me flashing lights at
stuff like that, just smoothly getting through two cars. You don't upset their battle, you just fly through. It's so satisfying to do it when it's you driving.
That's true. It's very, very satisfying indeed, and it also requires you to have some both patience and concentration, and it just requires a different mindset from all-out sprint racing, and it's something that I personally really like.
CJ is in P2 here. He's had some kind of incident.
Yeah.
He must have gone off track or something. I believe he did go off track about this time.
He certainly did.
That leaves Armored Core back in the lead here. He's been setting a very good pace, staying within the distance where he could take advantage if CJ was to have such an accident. And it's just about paid off for him. He's in the lead.
Just once more going a little bit sideways there is Armored Core.
Maybe a bit too late. You saw that car sliding under braking.
Definitely, and he's
got it done though.
Those front mediums also starting to look slightly worn.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking a look further back in the GC3 field, Wybear is trying to remove every bit of tread on those soft tires.
Definitely, he has been
staying to his strategy still with the damage, and he's
gonna do his 10 laps.
A good job of that. He's in P4 in a giant AMG3 field here.
He's even going over his 2 laps here, as we have CJ coming through traffic and coming down towards the S's. And this gets a little bit wide out there. What happens there? Oh, that's Hydra! Oh, and they made contact! And that is some kind of drivetrain damage for CJ. Oh, what terrible
drivetrain damage there. You can see the way the revs jump up and down. That engine is not doing well.
That is.
And you're there immediately to capitalize on his mistake.
As we also see him go wide and go, spins it and catches it again. That is excellent driving for a damaged car.
Nice little pirouette, but that's not what he needs. He needs to get to the pit as fast as possible.
In peace for CJ there, I must say. It does look over and out by now. That really is also. Let us see some F's in chat for this. Terrible luck as he goes around the outside.
Around the outside of that GT3 car for some reason.
With all the damage they're going
immediately into pit, understandably so.
Nothing else to be done in that situation there. Just get in there and get the damage fixed.
All of this is really working out for Armored Core in the lead here.
Yeah, it certainly is.
You can see by his lap times that he's lost some time from his initial pace, but he's very consistent is the word I'm looking for, and
well, what
looking as CJ remarked on the fact that I call the TS050 smooth, and it is a bit of a jerky car, but he's as smooth as possible with it, that's for sure.
Certainly, and it's just with the lap times in a race like this, I think it very much also comes down to traffic, that you will just see some natural fluctuations in lap times that'll make it look like drivers have made mistakes on different laps, whereas...
Yeah, but there's so many different variables because of the traffic and things like this that it's hard to... You can't really expect to be within 2/10 or something like that. It's as long as it looks kind of similar at first glance, it probably is.
Yeah. Well, that is absolutely true. As now the leading Rossi Racing Toyota is getting hounded by the two. Half the race gone.
And it goes into the pits there.
Armored Core is pitting in.
Take the lead.
It is only
getting closely to your own pit stop, so it's a virtual lead, but you do take it. CJ trying to get back into the rhythm here. Meeting his... and he does it again. He hits
Nukeshot again. Oh, and quite a bit of frustration showing there from CJ, I think.
Was that a bit of argy-bargy intentional pressure we saw there?
I'm not quite sure. I think the stewards will have a
front
look.
aero damage, so he'll be able to stay out, but
Yeah, he will be staying
messy.
out.
That was messy.
But has been a very messy race for CJ, and certainly continues on. Kind of been drawing on his bad luck for the GT, or from the GT class. Hydra now also coming into the
Hits
pits
to get that damage done.
But he had damage before from a spin he had before. I
See
think
that rear end is totally wrecked by now.
completely wrecked that Ferrari.
Yeah, we've been asking for a lot of Fs, so I'm not gonna do it after this, but please maybe consider an F for this rear end of this Ferrari, because that's toast.
Ferrari.
So that leaves you suddenly in the lead. We've had a whole bunch of lead changes
And
here.
that's gonna change
LMP class.
as soon as I come into the pits for the next
Yeah.
time. Might be this round. It certainly
is.
isn't. Look at this move coming into the pit lane there with a slow-moving Corvette.
Jackie will not be appreciative of that move.
No.
Fortunately, he's not actually in this race, so who gives a damn?
Charlie.
That leaves Armored Core in the lead now. Can you guys
Armored
keep
Core.
up with the changes?
Armored Core once more back into the lead there, still looking very stable. And with those,
Great job of it. He's had the least amount of action in the race at all. He's just been riding around.
and driving with the hazard lights on for the entire race. I
Yeah,
think.
perhaps that's why.
Yeah.
I might leave my
Interesting.
hazards on next time. Good.
I'm not. And actually,
Good job picking up on that, Armored Core.
I tried to use my.
No! Curse of the commentator strikes again.
Oh, it's very close to it these days. He tried to make the pass on
Great save by
GTO.
Armored Core not being denied by the curse. The curse hasn't shown up yet this race. Could this be HCRG's first race without an
CJ
incident?
pitting in for that front aero damage seemed like he had to anyways, was just losing too much speed. As he comes out now in 5th position in class. So
Yes.
a horrible piece of luck for him. Off Apple now, is he gonna... He's certainly not gonna go for the move on CJ there. That would be absolutely horrendously stupid. Oh, CJ has a huge moment there coming out of the pits.
Seems to be a bit frustrated at the moment. He's just thrashing around. Can I get it? I just want to make a shout out to Snipperator for noting the fact that it was a Ferrari LMP1, a bunch of Ferrari LMP1 incidents, just like in real life. Just shows you how realistic GT Sport is now. Good job, PD.
Good job, NES.
Good job,
Apple.
everyone. I don't know what I want. Good job, someone. Good job, guys.
Nilseman now still leading his class and still in front of Off Apple and still with the returnee in P3. Oh, it's just as we come to have a little bit of a cursed
He was
moment there.
looking to just give a bit space, but it's so hard when you go off your line, even when it's intentional. You don't really know where you should put it. He takes care of the bus stop. No, he doesn't. Sorry, bro.
Curse, be careful of it.
Bus
Oh,
stop?
Babel there gets through.
C4 is always looking so planted when it hits curves, man. It looks nice and stable.
Now we've had Snipperator also come into the pits here on lap 12. So he is on a fresh set of tires. He is on...
It's very early. I thought he was going to do a
Is he?
one-stop.
Is he on a fresh set of tires?
Did he just fuel because he ran out?
Did he just... But nobody could run out of fuel in 12 laps. I don't know. What's going on?
We don't know what's happening.
Snip, tell us in chat what
Snip,
was going on.
why? What?
Did you have damage?
Why?
We didn't...
What happened?
Racing Soft, by the way. Oh, that's why.
Why
He changed to Snip changed to Racing Soft. Thank you for that info. That is some of the stuff that we cannot see there.
Now the pit display info is starting to mess up. It looks like Wybears had 2 pit stops within 3 laps. He didn't, did he?
It's certainly not. No. The pit info, those piece is certainly messing up. You'll have to look at the lap times. Wybear pitted in at
graphics.
You can see on lap 11.
Yeah,
He had
exactly.
203.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
I was not telling you. I was telling the audience.
Oh yeah, we have an audience.
We actually do. There's 9 people watching.
Thanks, guys. We're so happy you decided to join us.
It is definitely so sweet having all of you along watching here. Nikos, one of the other returnees here today, he is keeping it going here. He is in P5 in class. GTO P6.
GTO making a strong. The newcomers are making a strong showing here. They're in front of people that have been strong contenders in the AM class through the season. Ninja Karma and Gugas being no slouches most of the time. Good job by these guys.
As you see, Ninja Karma just doesn't seem to be the best friends with this track.
he has the hazards on as well, but it doesn't seem to be helping him in the way it helps Armored Core.
No, not exactly there. As Ninja also notes in chat that it was a bad day for him here. He has a look at Gugas. It's certainly a bad day for Gugas.
I know how you feel, guys. Both you, Ninja, and Gugas. Much sympathies from me. Oh, and the engine damage. It's the worst thing in this race.
So
so much time.
Gugas coming into the pits now.
Taking that Joker route into the pits as well.
And Hydra gaining a place there. So Hydra is up into P13 overall.
Sick burn with the tone of your voice.
Sick burn. So Armored Core still leading in class, leading overall as well, of course. He is still showing him some very strong pace there, actually, with some steady 23s on the board.
Just getting it done, mostly in a controlled manner. That looked scary, and this is going to be scary as well.
Oh, and who was that? I think that
Thank God for ghosting. Was that Ninja Karma?
I think
we believe it was.
That was Ninja Karma, and he's coming into the pits now. Was that Nilseman?
Was that Nilseman? Nilseman, my brother.
But
Nilseman in the lead with heavy engine damage here.
Nilseman somehow also being able to time his accident on the lap that he was running out of fuel.
Great strategy from Nilseman, but you don't really need to do that.
No, Nilseman, you could do without the accident.
It's going to be interesting to see here, Apple. He's just had his pit stop done. He's on super fresh tires.
That is really going to make the undercut a big possibility now for off Apple here.
Come out on those fresh tires, but how much?
Still has to do the repairs.
Yeah, that's going to take some time. Let's see.
As we see, there's a lot of fuel
Apple's
coming in
on
there.
the straight here.
I think Nilseman will just...
He's
you know
still
what?
in there.
He's still in there.
Come on,
it's
mechanics.
taking a long time.
Mechanics. Fix it.
Obviously a lot of damage there to be repaired because
I don't
Apple.
think, wow.
Off Apple, I think he's through.
This is the longest pit stop I've ever seen.
He is.
Apple is comfortably
He's
through.
comfortably through. He's well through, and he is almost halfway through Sector 1. So our doubts there are really put to shame. Off Apple now with a comfortable.
He can see Nilseman. This is going to be really interesting stuff now. Nilseman obviously on some fresh tires, but sometimes it takes a lap or two to adjust to that. This is a great opportunity for Ybear.
Definitely. I mean, at this point of the race, what we're also seeing is that with the spread that's happened in the GT field, now traffic is pretty much all over the track. So for the LMP cars and the GT cars as well, there isn't really such a thing as just having smooth, clean laps. There's more or less traffic on more or less every lap for everyone.
You can't really look at the gaps too much, except for like in bunchings of 3 or 4 we don't meet traffic. But yeah. Even then, it's hard to tell, especially on a track like this as well, when there's so much. I feel like there was a lot of places to lose a little bit of time, even though it didn't feel like a huge mistake.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And also, as soon as you lost grip on the tires, it also meant losing time very quickly. So at least through those really fast sweepers on the backside of the track, there's Ybear there that gets kind of a squirmy moment, getting overtaken by one of the Audis. Now we have Trials in the pits.
Making my scheduled pit stop here.
Scheduled lap 20 pit stop here coming out in P3.
Where's CJ is close.
He is closing up behind. He is flying up there.
That's a difference.
Wow. Huge moment there. Basically, they're
getting
almost
absolutely everything out of that draft. You can question whether that was necessary.
It was very close indeed. That could have been a huge accident.
The biggest incident of this race, for me at least. He gets through safely though, and I was kind of expecting this, but this gives me a chance to. I know I'm on fresher tires. I know I should be able to catch him here.
And as we also have
he gets caught up behind Apple there, and that's all I needed. I get cleanly through on the outside, and I'm in the slipstream.
As we
need that slipstream in the Porsche compared to the Audi down this straight, so that's exactly what I needed.
The heartbreaking zone into the hairpin that just
See, I'm already looking down the inside because I know the Porsche can out-accelerate it through there.
No place to overtake there. Maybe just was that a little tap of the wall there?
Yep.
Certainly looked like that. You also lost quite a lot of time. Was there any damage to your car?
I was full on, no damage. But I was full on braking to get out of that. I wasn't really. I was trying to show that I could get through and maybe he'd hold off, and then I tried to back out. But that was a bit of a mistake for me.
Certainly, as you lose quite some time there. Yeah. Still a battle going on. I should probably say, in front there, Armored Core still leading.
You're in P2, doing a good job, setting a nice pace. Let's see how that compares to our leader here. He's just set a 25.16. That's slower than what you're doing.
And he's also had a 26 within the last couple of laps. So I am certainly at this moment catching up. As we have Armored Core, just as we're saying that, he comes in for a fresh pair of tires and some more fuel. And
time for another change of the lead here in the LMP class. You're getting kinda close to your pit stop as well.
Yeah, only a couple of laps left there. Maximum there, coming up behind Snip just to do the overtake.
And to wait a little bit, being patient, that's great.
Yeah, well, that's what you have to do there,
yeah,
I think.
Of course, but
in these situations,
it can be hard. Suddenly, now you find yourself in the lead and having to push to build as much of a gap as possible.
And then while waiting for people here and there,
exactly.
That's true.
Probably one of the most difficult things in this is not ruining other people's races because it's so hard to accept the time you have to lose to make safe passes on the traffic.
As we see Apple with rear aero damage there.
He had some kind of incident.
But that was a little contact there with
tiny
CJ
little contact
before,
from CJ. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. And see how it's developing between me and CJ.
Oh, there's caught up. Now there is really a fight going on for P3 in the LMP class.
Kind of in the slipstream.
Definitely.
This is when I make up the time though.
Braking the Porsche is
grip in the early acceleration as well is pretty strong.
And around traffic there.
Obviously, it doesn't hurt to be second in line to do passes on the traffic as well, because they realize that stuff is happening and might be thrown off a little bit by the first one. So it's pretty much always a bit of an advantage following another LMP car when you're making the passes.
Yeah, that's true. It certainly is, and it's always, at least on this track, I think it's always a bit sketchy coming up when you're more than one, or coming up to traffic that is battling it out. It certainly creates some really hair-racing situations now. Still just
having to make up that gap a little bit.
And now still off Apple.
Safely. What's Nilsman doing?
Nilsman, I think he's
setting good laps at the moment.
And he's certainly catching up. And Apple also, I think, having a little bit of trouble with that rear aero damage. He is not pitted because he's still running some pretty fresh tires there. Worth noting that Nilsman has also chosen to fuel up from, well, virtually 0 to, well, 100.
Yeah.
And then he will be able to take his laps pissed up in a bit shorter time. But I'm just thinking that it might also have a negative effect on his tire wear for this spin.
So it might have a negative effect on both tire wear and lap times, to be honest. It's interesting.
Some contact with the wall there.
As we might see the signs of driving the heavier car. Had that been a lighter car, would you have made it? You never know.
You never know. It might just have been. So
it's time for another lead change in the LMP class, ladies and gentlemen.
It certainly is. We have Armored Core here. Is he gonna make it? That might actually just be a little...
I might have called it a bit early because... he's through.
He is through indeed, but he is...
Close one though. It's closer than I feel like it's been for most of the other strategy lead changes, or what you might call it, virtual lead changes.
I think you're right. I think it is. It does look like it's closing up at this point. Between the stints, or like between the stints and overall.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going to be a really interesting finale here between Armored Core and myself here.
Yeah.
Over the duration of the last.
In third position is keeping me at bay for the moment.
Here we have 23 minutes of racing to go. Still with you right behind CJ.
Joe, the fire not too far off.
Off Apple still leading the GT class at the moment, but with Nilseman also getting ever so closer. He is
all the time. Inching might be too gentle, too soft of a word for it even.
I think Nils is really getting closer now.
It's great to see the Corvette being so strong again this season. I love that car. I had such a great time in it last season. I like the Aston as well.
Snip still just doing his thing and doing what he is best at.
Doing it very strongly as well.
He's doing it very well. Look at the lap times. Look at the lap times, ladies and gentlemen. It is, for a racing hard stint, that is quite good. And it also shows why he is in P3 in class at this quite late moment of the race.
Yeah.
And he is certainly contending for... Well, should I remember that he's not actually on Racing Hearts? But anyway, very much so contending for podium spots at this moment.
Absolutely. Great driving from him. It's time for a pit stop for him.
It is time for a pit stop for him. We have Nikos now up into P4 in class. So he has gotten the better of Weiber, at least for now. But
Might even pit now.
He might be pitting very soon indeed.
Next, yeah, he
pits now also with quite
little feint move there, almost not going into pits and then diving in at the last moment. Weiber, he's on fresh everything. Lots of fuel. He's gonna blast past at least Nikos. I think Snip's getting ready to get out of the pits here.
Snip is
getting out of the pits in front of Weiber.
And Snip notes in chat that he's on the hard compound again, so thanks for that info. Will be appreciated then that we actually know what's going on.
Yeah, that's great stuff because it's a bit frustrating not being able to see the compound you pick after a pit stop.
Yeah.
Because it's so essential to what might happen.
Exactly.
And it would be nice to be able to predict a bit more what happens later in the race sometimes.
GTO still just running around his business.
He slapped on some super softs.
I think he had
fresh ones, so he's gonna be going fast.
He is at least gonna be trying to go as fast as he can now. He has a bit of company coming in from behind.
That's you coming up with those golden mirrors, signifying that you're the reigning champion of the LMP class.
I am. Somehow I became that. Don't know how. Maybe because before I can answer that question there, Ninja has a huge moment and leaves a whole pit of sand there out on the track.
Kept it off the wall, so except for the fright and the sinking feeling,
just has to get rid of whatever dirt and grit is now on his tires before he can fully trust them to grip as they normally would.
For sure, and that always costs a bit more time than you see when you get out of the sand. You always lose a bit more time after that.
Yeah, and at worst that you actually go off the track once more because you're so eager to get off and you really want to make up that time you lost. Eager to get off. Eager to get off. I hadn't thought about that one. CJ
hopped in the pits.
He has been in the pits once more for his last scheduled stop.
And I make a mistake that I cleverly not show, so now I'm in P4. Joe, with his steady grinding rhythm, has managed to get himself into P3 at a late stage in the race here.
Looking really close, looking like he is a pit stop behind at this moment. Well, not really compared to you.
It doesn't really matter for me because I have so much
engine damage there.
Rest here. I'm not just breaking 220 kilometers, 230 kilometers an hour. The pace is burning my tires. Apple dies in the pits as well.
Yeah, with absolutely no fuel left in the tank of that BMW.
Greatly measured from him.
Yeah, you gotta say that is good work. Snip now making up time. He is back on the hard compound, so he will certainly be running that compound for the rest of the race. So no more stops for him here.
It's time to get passed by you.
Yeah.
Gets it done. No hassle there. Just a quick shout out to the chat. We're gonna break 200 comments today, and that's definitely a record for us. So thank you guys very much for being so active. We're keeping up, but sometimes it's gonna take maybe a few transmissions before we're really excellent at answering everything you guys say. But it's such a pleasure.
It's so damn nice to see, and it really warms our hearts.
Yeah. Warm hearts.
Warm hearts here from the HTRG team. Nilseman is back on top of his class, but however, he is really on some tired tires at this point. No pun intended. And I think he might just have enough of a gap to off Apple to be able to go in, switch for some fresh rubber.
It's going to be interesting to see if he gets out in front, because it's going to be damn close.
It is gonna be close indeed. Now we have Joe of the Fire pitting in for that stop we were also mentioning before.
Thanks, Snipperator, for pointing out that tired joke is tired.
Here at half the race gone, we like to keep it loaded. And returning to the race, we still have Armored Core in the lead. He is really doing well. Here he has a couple of really good laps set on the trot right there, and is showing a real strong pace at this moment.
Saw a certain someone with golden mirrors stalking in the background there.
I certainly
just as
did.
you said that.
Having also set some very good lap times.
It's really closing up here, you see?
It really is closing up at this point.
I think it's time for a real proper battle for the lead and not just the pit exchanges we've seen until now.
It is certainly looking like we're in for a really interesting last 15 minutes in the LMP class here, with the battle looking to go all the way to the line here. CJ at this point, with all the bad luck he had, understandably he is some way back at this moment. Joe of the Fire and yourself the same. It's really been survival of the fittest, or whatever, the wittiest, or whatever you would say today. Has been a real fierce one, and certainly also luck has played a big part here.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably been the most hectic race of the season so far, because even when things got strung out, as I passed Nilseman here, same job as you from before, no hassle there. I certainly felt like it was the most hectic race of the season so far. So many passes all the time, and weird interactions with other cars and stuff like this. It was a crazy race. I felt like time was just flying along as well. I think you guys had the same experience, those of you that raced in the race.
Now Nilseman coming in to get some fresh rubber on. That also, they looked really dead, those fronts he came in with. Now off Apple, let's see.
He is
not going to be close enough.
Yeah, I feel like
call that already.
Was the same distance as we saw in the LMP field before, and that was not enough to catch. Well, that was enough to catch, but it's so much faster. I think you're right. Now let's see. It's gonna be. That's the wrong button. It is close.
It is actually closing, and also with the speed advantage that Apple is carrying down here, he also gives him a bit of a blink there to tell him, "Hey, I am here. I am closing up. I will be with you
little
shortly."
Mental game there from Apple. Let's see how it's developing for the lead battle here. It's getting ever closer.
It certainly is now. I'm certainly looking to be within reach of the slipstream there. Corner by corner, trying to eat my way, claw my way into the slipstream of Armored Core, who does have a little bit of a straight line advantage in that
Just as you say that, I think you have reached the point where you start gaining from the slipstream coming out the straight here. You're going to be able to gain some time.
Yeah.
And if you pick the right brake marker, you're going to be right up there.
See also with some traffic there, one of the RLA Corvettes.
What's that? No, it was not. That was Ninja Karma.
That was Ninja Karma not really
making the smart move of getting out of the way when he saw that was the battle for the lead in the pro class. I think he felt like, well, with the position I have, I might just get out of the way a little bit.
Yeah,
clever stuff.
That was nice to see there. Armored Core gets a little bit late and deep into the first part of the first chicane there, losing a bit of time. Now we see me closing up, getting really close to his bumper now, and actually not wanting to get too close because of somewhat of dirty air there in between. Right there, now it's really close there. Coming down towards the SS here.
On the outside.
On the outside.
Get it done through the outside, still side by side. Now it's the inside. You get.
And then I think
It's time to pass 2. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen.
incredible defensive driving from Armored Core there. Holds on to the lead.
The cool head of Armored Core in that situation to still pick the right defensive line when you have to deal with 2 cars get through the middle. Great stuff from both of you there. Oh, bouncing Porsche through the bus stop there.
Definitely so. Armored Core going defensive here.
Immediately signals he wants the defensive line. You accept it and you both get a regular way through the corner. This is one of those seconds where the Porsche is really strong. You can see you get right up into the tail. Perfect.
And more traffic coming up for the 2 of us here as we go side by side, coming down towards turn 1. Armored Core holding the defensive line on the
He was
inside.
clever to pick it early because the Porsche actually gains a bit of ground there. So picking it early meant that
But
you
he
weren't
has a
able to
little bit of a
surprise him.
moment there, gets too far over the curb and his efforts to close it off. And now it gets closed with a wheel on the outside there. And Armored Core goes off. He's off into the grass, into the sand. And he is back on the track with no damage, but certainly losing. Oh, has it had a squirmy moment?
Yeah, that
due
was
to
that
sand?
sand stuck in the tires we were talking about earlier. You want to get back up to speed so fast and you just can't, and you have to be a bit more patient, but that's nigh on impossible when you're so stressed out. You're in the lead now. Good job, my good sir. Cringy.
Oh, at this point, well, if you look at my fuel, I have the problem that I don't have enough fuel to finish the race, so I have to come in for a pit stop there. Armored Core at this point, he is getting quite squirmy from the wear of those tires. So the question is, will he trust those tires till the end of the race? Because it's still 11 minutes to go. They are going to be absolute rubbish at the end if he continues to go on. It'll be really interesting to see.
Well, he almost kind of needs to, doesn't he?
Well, to go. What do you mean, to go in the pits or to?
No, just I feel like he should try to stay out. He doesn't.
I kind of would agree with you because it would have given him the lead, taking into consideration that I've been into the pits.
It gives him so much time that he can eat off. I don't know. It's hard to be clever in hindsight, but I feel like that would have been the boldest and possibly the smartest move to make.
Now it is a race for the line between Armored Core and myself, both of us on the super soft tires, I would imagine, and well, it's just gonna be.
Way other than that around it, you make your way through a few GC3 cars here. Armored Core will have to deal with those in a few seconds. Cleanly through, not too much time lost for you. Let's see how Armored Core deals with those.
It'll be really interesting to follow the 2 leaders of the LMP class through this late traffic here.
He loses time here, that's a lot.
A massive amount of time
That's probably almost
passing
a
Nikos
second.
at the end of the straight. I think it will be.
Yeah, because he loses so much momentum, you know, I feel like...
Oh, he has a big moment there. Oh my, from Hydra.
No damage.
No damage, luckily, except for
to
the
his
time.
state of mind and probably his heart rate as well.
Yeah, definitely he will be needing somewhat more oxygen than he were needing just a second
Time to
before right now.
compose yourself if you want to make up that gap. He's lost a lot right from getting out of the pits here. That's one of the hardest things to deal with, is staying calm and picking up that speed through rhythm and not through forcing it.
So 9 minutes of racing to go, and might just be a little bit more as we have to finish whatever's left of the race at that point also, but still a really close battle. Come that we have had it. Oh, Kugas goes off.
Kugas has had a horrid race here.
Certainly hasn't been
Much.
Kugas' day at all.
Yeah, you feel for the guy, but it's been a nightmare of a race for him, I feel like.
As Nilseman laps his teammate there. Also shows
Quite
that
a showing of strength from Nilsson, and I
And
know
also-
Ninja Karma told us that he had a bit of a bad day, and I for one can certainly sympathize with that. I know how that feels, but this is an amazing race from Nilsson, and no matter how bad of a day Ninja is having, he's not a slow driver by any means.
as we have some Audi traffic also coming through. That is Joe of the Fire.
Joe of the Fire, yep.
Let's go back to have a look with the lead battle. At this moment, I think this is where most of the action is happening. See how
It is spaced out. You get through Wirebear there.
and Snip also.
Snip dispatched as well. Good to
And-
get that done before the bus stop. You definitely didn't want to be caught up in
So
all
let's see Armored Core where he comes out in this. Might be lucky, but he has to
close to
hold off.
Wyber here.
Alright.
Good job. Good job there.
McCord.
He's going to benefit a little bit from being in the slipstream of slip down the side, but he gets a bed.
Oh, yeah.
It's touch and go. It's hard to say whether you're actually losing or gaining time here. Let's see what the lap is like.
23 dead and a 23-3, so he's
up a little bit of time here.
3/10 even with that traffic over the course of the lap. But we also saw from his pole position time in qualifying that he certainly has the pace when he's on those super softs around this track. So at this point there is nothing certain yet, with several laps of racing still to go, and the gap no more than, well, it's within 4 seconds still, I would believe.
Wyber trying to keep up with Snipperator here. Is he catching him a little bit? I think not. He's losing time at the moment.
Yeah, and also it does seem to be so.
It's a close one though.
I think those hard tires are beginning to get an advantage over those softs of Wyber at this moment.
Checking back in with the lead battle here. As you fly through the bus stop again. It was a bit of a bouncy one for those of us in the 919. So we have one of the Corvettes.
That must be Ninja.
Probably Ninja.
We also have you in the pits. Yeah, Ninja. F's for Ninja. Certainly not his day whatsoever.
How many times do you think we've asked for F today? I think
this has been the race. We should have
lay off the F demanding for a little
We should
while.
have demanded. We should have just set preliminary Fs for everything.
Yeah. GTO running P5 here, getting past Ninja Karma. Oh, is he ahead already? Yeah. Sets his personal best through that sector. Good job there. Doing that late in the race can be hard.
Now let's follow the lead battle, because it's still really interesting to see just how it goes through the traffic and with the gap. Still somewhat the closest battle at this point, I think. And also the battle, of course, between Snip and Wyber. And also Off Apple is also quite close there.
I just saw we had a position change there. I don't think you were right about that being the closest battle.
No, that is actually true. I was completely wrong.
Remember that the Vert racing team is running without team orders, so this is actual racing going on. Sometimes you see a lot of strategy and team orders running these races, but these guys don't do that at all, so this is sometimes a great show. I do believe that was the position change of the battles getting done.
Suddenly we just about saw that they're on the exit.
I'd expect CJ to move away. He seemed like he was losing a bit less time. He sets the best first sector time.
First sector, yeah. So strong pace from CJ there.
CJ notes in the chat that they're the Mercedes of the NES. I don't know what that means. The Mercedes is not. Yeah,
Mercedes.
CJ
Here we see.
CJ notes that he's on supers. No, he's on softs and not supers. But
Armored Core getting held up just once more behind the car of Nikos there. So
unlucky with the timing of when he hits those cars at the moment.
Yeah, certainly not working in his favor at this moment now. As we see, the gap is pretty much steady. Maybe just have gotten a little bit smaller at this moment. Might still just be gaining.
Look at what's going on in the developments of the P3 battle in the GT3 class, because you see that's also getting very close here.
It certainly is, but Wyber seemingly having a bit of trouble to actually keep the pace of. Oh, as he gets pushed there by CJ. Very aggressive move, I must say, from CJ there. Who's probably on the super softs looking for that fastest lap of the race.
Quite a bit of time there. Because I don't agree with you. I think it looks like he's catching Snip here. He has already gained a little bit of the time he lost from the contact with CJ. As we see Joe of the Fire getting close here. He sees another Wasp, wisely moves to the side here, does Bear. Are in the front here.
He has certainly met some time there. He's a lot closer now all of a sudden. Armored Core closing in here, also having more clear space, track space in front of us at this moment, and it certainly doesn't necessarily work in my favor.
As I'm getting told in my UPC to have a look at Apple, CJ expects an off from the Apple.
The puns are rolling in strong today after the race gone, and we're watching off Apple still sitting in P2 in class, having had a really strong race so far.
The thing is, I don't know when a mistake happens. We can't just be looking at a guy basically at the moment going around on his own on a bit of an island. Just great driving from the Apple, of course, but we have stronger showings than this going on at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, because
it's growing closer, it's closing up all the time, or it's growing closer, growing closer, I don't know. Apple is still in P2, so haven't lost that position yet.
Let's have a look.
Oh, and
was that it?
His obvious engine damage. Oh, gosh, that is it. Through the S's. There is a horrible place.
Now a spectator, so that's all I'm gonna say. Bye, guys.
Oh my. So huge problem there. So late in the race for off Apple. That is a huge rest in peace for him. Because he is not gonna finish in that P2 in class that he's been holding on to for so long. And actually for a lot of time also he was battling for the lead in class with Nilsson. Now they still just really close. And we are at what looks to be the second to last lap. I'll just say again that is an absolutely horrible time for off Apple to have a crash.
Wrecked. Snip coming into the bus stop here, flying. Wybear seems to have lost a tiny teensy little bit of... As I'm having to wait all the way through here.
Certainly also a bad place to
got it done without wrecking his day though, so that's good.
And then you see me coming up, flashing my lights. Apple comes into the pits. Let's see, Snipperator. He's certainly gonna go through.
Get ahead for sure.
Coming along, Wybear also coming into the pits. He needs a little bit of fuel just to finish the race.
Nilsson just absolutely dominating today.
Nilsson dominating today.
Any doubt about his win today, to be honest?
Not really.
There's still doubt about your win, though.
It is still quite close. Having a look back there.
Watch out for Snip. What? Watch out for Pit when he's... For Pit when he snips. Sorry, it's kind of hard to also keep a constant eye on the chat. I might not.
Yeah, but that is not possible for us. I think
it's the final lap, ladies and gentlemen. Here
it is the final lap, and we're gonna be looking at still some really close traffic here. Nerve-wracking moments here. Only seconds between the two leading cars.
A little bit of time. Can you get past the Corvette without losing time? He probably can't.
Nope. He is certainly stuck, and that's
the race done.
That is the race done for Armored Core.
P2 for Armored Core. CJ's already crossed. Joe's already crossed. Nilsson's taking the win in GT3.
Once
it's
more,
time for you to take the win in the LMP class.
First win for me since Dragon Trail Season 3 in the LMPs.
Yeah, congratulations.
So, Mr. Dragon Trail, you can call me that now.
That's me across the line in 5th. Another terrible showing by me. Snip's about to take P2 on his first race in Season 4.
That is a really strong showing there from Snipperator.
Great racing.
Off Apple on the podium.
Third position for him, I think.
Must have felt more like losing a second place than anything else for him.
And I think that's fair to say that that's what happened as well.
Wybear also there coming through. He's going to take P4. Solid points for the championship for him. And that concludes the race. So, what a race.
That was fun, guys. That was really fun.
That was
crazy hectic. I felt like I needed a nap when it was done, but so much fun. And I think all things considering, all of us did a great job of being pretty clean and calm. There was a lot of chaos, but it's crazy. It was a crazy track to do that.
It was a crazy track.
Honest.
I think also you could feel that some of the drivers who were not experienced, maybe with multi-class racing or hadn't been doing it for some time,
Absolutely.
that they maybe just needed to get back in the groove.
It was just a huge GT3 field. It was giant.
We've never seen. We actually had a record amount of participants.
Yeah.
We have never had a Nukeshot endurance field of 14 cars over 2 classes, so this is a new participation record.
Keep it up, guys, because it's so much better when we have a bigger field.
That
It
is-
was it felt like more of a proper race,
Yeah,
like almost in a like you joined a league above or something like that. Even though it's the same level of drivers, and that level is pretty good.
it was, and yeah, as you said before, Charles, just to underline it, that it was a really intense race. It was just, it was about keeping your cool, but still keeping your concentration, and those two things are at times, they can be a little bit opposites to each other. So it's about keeping that balance just right all the way through the race, keeping your patience with the traffic and everything. It is always difficult. So with that said, I think we'll certainly be looking forward to next weekend's race
Absolutely.
in the reverse.
Also
race.
a bit terrified, to be honest. Are there as many entrants in the LMP field?
I'm actually not sure. I'm actually not sure.
If there's gonna be that many,
If there's gonna be 9,
going around.
I don't think there's gonna be 9 LMPs going around. But also because I don't think there's space, because we could actually go up and be 9 GT cars.
Oh yeah.
So it could go up and be quite dramatic, as the race today turned out to be, and also a little bit more of a war of attrition. What we've seen today was really, I think, a war of attrition. It was
it felt more like last man standing than it felt like. Yeah, it totally did, because like Armored Core had such a smooth race, and yeah, he just had that last big thing at the end, and you know, he was doing so well for a long time, and he wasn't the fastest guy necessarily on race pace, but getting through the traffic cleanly, getting around the track cleanly for an extended period of time can get you a hell of a long way in this race.
Yeah, and we saw, I think, that also with me ending up with actually taking the win, which was unexpected for us, I think.
No, it wasn't unexpected for me. I don't think it was unexpected for everyone else but you, because you're the reigning champion. But we've been struggling with the pace on the Porsche, and there's a ton of different things that you can say about that. But that's been a matter of fact. And what's happening now in the LMP Pro field is that the success balance is finally evening out the playing field a bit.
Just before it gets reset for
Just
Suzuka.
before it gets reset for Suzuka. But
Which means
we'll see
that
how
I'm
that plays
carrying-
out with the updates on the
Yeah.
BOP. It's going to be interesting, because
It is. I think definitely the updates on the BOP is going to even out a lot of the difference that we've seen. That was the pure top speed difference.
Absolutely,
It's
and
gonna even
I
out
think
the cars.
already when the success ballast started piling on, you could see how much more dynamic the LMP Pro field racing started becoming.
Yeah,
And it's made it a lot more fun, and it's made it a lot more hectic as well.
a lot more hectic, but also a lot more interesting to watch.
Yeah. But I think the biggest thing to take away from today's race, obviously, is the return of a few old heads, as we say in Denmark, a few old names from the NES series. It's great to have you guys coming back on, and see you doing pretty well in the racing as well.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure having all the I was not all the old folks, but some of the old folks getting back, and
Hope to see
and
you
the
again.
numbers growing of the series. That is just
Absolutely.
amazing to see. It's amazing to see, and it makes it all the more fun. And
It's about damn time. It's an amazing series.
It
I don't
is.
understand why we don't have 10 reserves all begging to join, because it's such a good series. Everyone's mildly mannered. We have fun, but it's cutthroat racing, and people are pretty damn well rehearsed, is what I want to say. Look at those M3s.
Look at those M3s.
Impossible!
So yeah, actually that leads me on to my next point, because on Thursday we will be transmitting from Suzuka, actually, with the M3
Yeah.
Championship, the TSR M3 World Tour Championship. It is the 5th round out of 6, so it is heating up in the championship battle there. Also just making a little bit of advertising for our next broadcast here on the channel.
Absolutely. It's great fun, and it's even better racing because it's so close all the time, and position changes on every lap.
It's one makes one.
It's I want to say controlled chaos, but I don't think it's controlled really.
It's kind of anarchy, complete anarchy, and it's one make racing at its very best, I think.
Yeah.
So do join us for that.
Check it out.
You can find a link to our Twitter profile in the description.
The Twitter profile that Durden really wants, but I don't really understand why we need.
It's
Don't
just
make actual arguments, just accept.
It's just to be able to communicate out when we are broadcasting. So schedule changes, and just because we don't really have a schedule that is completely scheduled or completely tight, then I think it's kind of nice to have some kind of platform to be able to communicate that out to whoever wants to see our videos. But with that said, it's been a great experience for us to have so many of you along today. I think it was a lot of fun. I hope you've had a great experience watching watching the stream.
Thanks for being so active in the comments. It's a lot of fun having that going on. It makes it so much more living, and we hope to have some of those of you watching the video after the fact that it's been streamed. See if you can't join the live transmission, because it's a lot of fun here.
It certainly is.
Until next time, I'm Trail66.
And I'm Durden DK. So take care and have fun. And we'll see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.